What's your name, pretty boy?
My name is Space Cowboy.
Space Cowboy, just play that track.
And what's your name?
Lady Gaga. We had a huge media scandal. They accused me of lip syncing and oh yeah, off.
Space Cowboy.
You look so cocky right now. I want to punch you.
In the early to mid-2000s, European producers and DJs like David Guetta, Fatboy Slim, and Tiesto were pioneering an all-new wave of European dance music that would take the American music industry by storm. In early 2008, on one fateful night in Paris, an underground DJ by the name of David Guetta was spinning at a club in front of none other than ex-Destiny's Child member Kelly Rowland. See, Kelly was hot off the heels of the successful mega girl group Destiny's Child. However, frontwoman Beyonce would begin her solo career and debut to the world with #1 record after #1 record. Michelle would begin her career in gospel, and Kelly was sort of at a career turning point. She had just released her sophomore solo album, and the third single, titled Work, had been remixed overseas by British DJ duo Freemasons. This took the European club scene by storm, and the song commercially exploded overseas, but still failed to chart in the United States. This caused a switch to flip in Kelly Rowland, as she had seen the amount of interest the European public had in her dance remix. And she loved European dance music herself. Thus, she went to go spend a year in Europe. And one night, she heard David Guetta's beats and remixes with strong European influence, including the original instrumental for When Love Takes Over. And Kelly knew she wanted that sound for herself. She tapped David Guetta to record When Love Takes Over, and it was the first globally charting song for the French DJ. It also breathed complete new life into Kelly Rowland's career. This caused a complete domino effect in the American music industry. In the year of 2008, the Black Eyed Peas would tap David Guetta to produce I Got a Feelin' and Boom Boom Pow, which would take over the world. Subsequently, in the year of 2008, a woman by the name of Stephanie Germanotta released her debut album, The Fame, under the stage name Lady Gaga.
My name is Lady Gaga, and this is my house.
This album would introduce the world to an electronic pop star unlike they had ever seen. And directly beside her, her right-hand man, Cherry Tree label mate and personal DJ, Space Cowboy.
Groove slam, work it back. Space Cowboy, just play that track. Gaga in the room, so starstruck. Cherry, 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 boom, boom.
Now, Space Cowboy would be deeply intertwined in the Fame era. From Starstruck to Christmas Tree, Space Cowboy would bring an electronic edge to the most pivotal moments in Lady Gaga's career, become a pop culture icon, and then disappear off the face of the planet. Today, I'm going to detail the swift rise of one of the most prolific DJs of the 2010s, and just how he broke through to the mainstream. This is the story of the mysterious disappearance of Space Cowboy, and just how he changed the world of music forever. Now, before defining himself as royalty in the underground music scene and sculpting the mainstream electropop soundscape as we know it, Nicolas Jean-Pierre Dresti, known for his most popular DJ alias Space Cowboy, was born in the spring of 1975 in the Calm Nogent-sur-Seine commune in France, but grew up and went to college in England. His uprise began during an era in which the music scene was thriving with a new wave of electronic beats spun by DJs that were running the nightlife scene. This is where he would begin making multiple names for himself after cultivating his unique electrifying sound during his time studying audio engineering in college. Much to his parents' horror, Nick found a new spark of inspiration for producing and DJing at clubs and events, and went through several different aliases in his early career, releasing his earliest singles and remixes as DJ Supreme, then going by the name DJ Loop De Loop, as well as DJ Chrome, DJ Vibes, Nikki Fabulous, and several others. Now, the name that eventually stuck was actually a nickname given to him by the owner of a sound studio he was working in after college. And from then on, people would come to know a young Nicholas Dresty as Space Cowboy, a name which would become a staple in some of the most revolutionary pop releases in the late 2000s. He felt the name fit his style because he wanted to create music that sounded like it had come from a spaceship. The young musician, whose father was a guitar collector, labeled himself as a digital rock star and described his own genre as laptop rock. In his early days, Nick became a protege of Fatboy Slim, and Space Cowboy even released his first album, Across the Sky, under his label Southern Fried Records. Now, when asked about his relation to Fatboy Slim in an interview, he said, "Norman is a special guy. I learned from him that evolution is good, and it's good for a man to change his style, so he can go underground and go overground, and go underground and come overground again. It's all about coming with a fresh sound. He's a master at that, and I learned that from him. He has been very successful for many years doing that and has had a great number of smash records, and I admire him greatly." He also experienced the darker side of celebrity and fame, which was very good for me because we were able to talk about that. I saw what could happen for me down the line when you experience a great deal of success in a short amount of time, which was a very beautiful thing. Norman has experienced a great deal of success worldwide, so he explained to me how people change and how people's lifestyles change, and the way that the people around them change. He really taught me a lot about relationships and how they change and evolve.
So, balancing DJing and in the studio, that's always been a thing for me. So, and producing, and also like artistry as well. I started singing. I didn't start singing until a little bit later because I was sample based and I was a little bit afraid of singing, I was the DJ camp, the studio camp, so I was like singing, so that came later. And so I moved to Space Cowboy, and then I got signed to Southern Fried Records a couple of years later. I was doing some bootlegs, Norman Cook, was caught hold of that, which was amazing. And he really looked after me for a good couple of years now. We had a great relationship, and he taught me a lot of stuff, how to handle your business, like personal relationships, and because he had a rapid, he had a lot of success, but with Fatboy Slim, he had a rapid rise, particularly in the United States. And so that was incredible to watch, that whole journey, and it was awesome, man, and he taught me such a lot. So, and that got my name out there, Space Cowboy, we did a song called I Would Die For You. And the record really started to blow up in Japan, which was incredible for me. And then from that, I did a song called Across the Sky, which was kind of like a balance of a rock pop type thing, and I was just singing on it. And that was really well received in Japan as well, so that gave me the confidence to start singing, you know what I'm saying? Which is a big turning point for me, to start singing and writing. So I was like, I'm not going to sing anymore, I'm going to start writing, concentrate on singing, I was using auto-tune at the time, harmonizers, you know what I'm saying? I'm still using that today. And I love that. I love the auto-tune sound, so, you can use it in various varying degrees. You don't have to T-plane it out, you know what I mean? So, but that time I was kind of T-planing it, and so it was cool, man. It was a great experience. When I sent the demo to Norman Cook for Southern Fried, I didn't hear something for 6 or 7 months. I thought, I think it's whack or whatever. Out of the blue, I got a text saying, this shit's hot, it's the loudest thing I've ever heard. It just jumped up the speakers. That was 7 months later. So just be patient, man, and just keep working, keep grinding, That's what I can say, man.
A few years later, Space Cowboy would go on to start his own independent label, Tiger Tracks, where he would go on to sign his own muse, Nadia Oh, and develop an entire discography of catchy records for her to release.
Set up Tiger Tracks Records in London, and we put out a song called My Egyptian Lover.
The first ever big hit for Nadia Oh was My Egyptian Lover. Released originally as a single, it would be featured as the 13th track off the 2006 Space Cowboy album Digital Rock. The song would be played in clubs all throughout Europe and eventually across the world.
Nadia, how are you? Good morning, this is Nadia Oh.
And Space Cowboy, you're listening to J-Wave Happiness with Ayako.
When the catchy melody would make its way to the United States, the game was changed for Nadia. Space Cowboy mentioned in an interview that it was one of his proudest tracks, saying, "My Egyptian Lover is very close to my heart. Nadia Oh has a very unique voice that many people cannot imitate. It's pretty impossible. She is super cool, even when she speaks to you. She has this amazing quality to her voice. It's so funny and nice and just cuts through the mix of a song." He would often incorporate it into his live sets. sometimes even at shows with Lady Gaga herself, where they would both sing along.
Everybody say hello to Space Cowboy, please.
How you doing? This is awesome. My Egyptian lover. There is no other. My Egyptian lover. My Egyptian lover. Sing it, Lady Gaga. There is no other.
This fresh, ultra-modern sound inspired mainstream artists for years to come. But Nadia Oh never received the flowers she deserved in terms of radio play and press coverage at the time, and unfortunately, even current day. These songs helped put both Nadia Oh and Space Cowboy on the map, and solidified them as cult favorites in the Europop scene. Now, after climbing the ranks of the music industry and signing multiple label deals, producing album after album of highly conceptual music, Space Cowboy found himself working alongside Cherry Tree Records, a label known for its sensational catalog of artists such as Robin, LMFAO, Far East Movement, Ellie Goulding, and Natalia Kills. However, on one fateful day, the label would sign an up-and-coming artist by the name of Stephanie Joanne Angelina Germanata,
Space Cowboy, just play that track.
who would stop at nothing to actuate her fantasies of fame and success. Now, Cherry Tree would go on to set her up for a studio session with Space Cowboy and catalyze a streak of smash hits that would take the world by storm. But at what cost? When asked about the creation of the Tiger Tracks label in a 2008 interview, he would shed light on its namesake, saying, "Well, I love tigers and I like cats that are vicious. The label was basically created so I could sign artists like Nadia Oh, who I had already been working with on My Egyptian Lover," which is the record that got me noticed by Cherry Tree Records. It was one of our first releases, and the rest is history. They brought me over to the US, introduced me to Lady Gaga, etc., so it's been a pretty wonderful experience. Tiger Tracks remains, but I've been able to put a little bit less time into finding new artists or doing new projects directly with Tiger Tracks. But as I find more time, we'll be doing more releases and stuff like this. But for the moment, we have Digital Rockstar, and I am excited about this new album. The 2009 project would consist of highly experimental and genre-defying sounds, featuring the voices of the Paradiso Girls, LMFAO, Natalia Kills, Cinema Bazaar, and of course, Nadia Oh. Several music videos would be created to support the release, in which Space would assume his natural position as the surrealistic DJ bouncing to party music shielded by a pair of stylish sunglasses. The release included a few songs off an earlier project by a shorter title, Digital Rock. Interviews from his only ever press tour would reveal exactly why he chose to include these tracks the way he did, explaining, "The album basically shares my experiences of life on the road, nightlife, the truck life, and meeting new people and new experiences. I got to see a lot of places around the world that I thought I would never see. I went to Sweden, I went to Australia, I went to the United States. While I was on the road, I performed a lot of new songs, so it's partly different than digital rock. But the essence is the same, because the principle behind digital rock was that the instruments were virtual, like the guitars. They're not real guitars, they're from the computer. The voices are computerized, and the whole stage is computerized, so it's very digitalized. I'm very used to that. I like autotune. I like things that make it sound like I came off a spaceship. And I'll continue to like that. I think I always will." His introduction to the soon-to-be fame monster herself came at a time of self-discovery for her. After being dropped from her label at Def Jam Records in 2006, Interscope would decide to give a then-hopeful Stephanie Germanata a chance to experience her first glimpse of approval from the mainstream. The pressure was on for Gaga, but she didn't come unprepared. With flashy outfits, high fashion, and a catchy chorus written with the help of Akon and Red One, the release of her debut single, Just Dance, launched her from obscurity to the very top of the charts. Although this wasn't instantaneous, the song garnered success unlike any of Stephanie's previous works, but it was actually a sleeper hit, gaining its initial popularity over in Europe and spending 5 months in the Billboard Hot 100 before snagging the #1 spot. Though Gaga's success changed her entire world, she was not quite satisfied with her career, and when her manager would attempt to celebrate her victory, she would brush it off, saying, "For some reason, I feel like we've accomplished nothing, and we've got so far to go. I don't want to be one song. I want to be the next 25 years of pop music." But it's really hard to measure that kind of ambition. Failure was not an option for Gaga, and with her debut album just around the corner, it was important for her to have a flawless rollout, with memorable looks, energetic live shows, and a hot DJ behind her to keep audiences raving for more. Many fans of Gaga came to know Space Cowboy as the man commanding the turntable at her live shows, as well as a collaborator on fan favorites off her Grammy-winning debut album, The Fame.
Starting 2008, Lady Gaga has been sent to Earth to infiltrate human culture, one sequence at a time. Activate camera probe.
Initiate transition animation.
Anybody seen my disco stare?
Well, my name is Space Cowboy, yeah, and I DJ. I put together the music for the show, with Gaga, and we're about to do a show at the Dragonfly, and yeah, it's going to be crazy today. Lady Gaga was #1 in the album charts, so we're like, wow.
A little rain to put things in perspective. What are you gonna do while you're here, Nick?
I don't know. I'm going to stay in my hotel room, bolt the hotel room, and not even go out the front door because it's far too many temptations.
You're gonna lock yourself?
Yeah, I think so.
So how many countries has this pillow been to now? Lady Gaga pillow is so famous.
Check it out. That's embroidery. Look at that quality of that embroidery.
I know.
That is not messing around. Look.
I am a lucky lady.
Ba, ba, ba.
Da, 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 da. What's your name, pretty boy?
My name is Space Cowboy.
Space.
Space Cowboy.
You look so cocky right now. I want to punch you.
And what's your name?
Lady Gaga. We had a huge media scandal. They accused me of lip syncing and oh yeah, off.
Also created a cult favorite risque Christmas song together titled Christmas Tree.
Christmas tree is about the spirit of celebrating the most joyous holiday, and I'll tell you why. Because Christmas is the holiday that most makes boys and girls feel randy. Hey everybody, it's Gaga. I'm backstage right now in Sweden, but I wanted to take a minute and say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. 2008 was amazing. We're gonna have an even better 2009, so I love you, and let's kick off the new year with a light me up, put me on top, let's fa la 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 la. Bye.
Now, what many fans didn't know was that Space Cowboy was not the original pick to fulfill this role as the DJ in the Gaga cinematic universe. At first, she was working alongside New York musician Brendan J. Sullivan, known by the name DJ VH1, who actually wrote a tell-all autobiography detailing his experiences on the scene with Gaga, including the exact moment that he would be replaced during production for the very project that catapulted Gaga to stardom, the Just Dance music video. His book reads as follows. He quoted them as saying, "I just wanted to let you know that we aren't going to have you play the DJ in the video." He asked if they were cutting the DJ part, saying that makes sense. Well, I just want to be there for her. And Leah said, "We said the same thing. We still want you and your look in there, but we are going to go with someone else as the DJ." And he said, "Okay, I really was okay with this. I'm a real DJ. I don't just play one on a music channel no one watches anymore." He said, "Who?" And they said, "Space Cowboy is going to do it." And Brendan asked, "The guy from that Christmas song? Weird choice. Gaga and he had worked on a holiday jingle, only they did it in the off season." On the day of filming, tension was extremely strong, as both Space Cowboy and DJ VH1 were introduced to one another on set in the most uncomfortable way imaginable, saying, "He looked up at me and that's when I realized I was staring. Space Cowboy? He followed my voice, hopefully, wondering if he might be needed on set. The gangster of love himself. I apparently didn't know any jokes. I just say things out loud like a joke. I suck at life." They both said hey to each other, and Brendan thought in his head, have you ever had a good strong magnet that you can barely peel off the fridge? Like the kind that feels heavier than regular magnets and will stick to anything except another magnet. If you placed one on top of the other on a flat surface, the one at rest would politely shove the uninvited magnet away. We introduced ourselves. How's LA treating you? Good. Hey, I like that Christmas song you and Gaga did. Oh, he said, as embarrassed as he could possibly be about a song that he probably recorded in a day and never thought about again. The book would go on to detail another extremely awkward moment on set between a member of Gaga's team and the two rivaling artists. Someone on production asked, "Where's Gaga's DJ?" And they both answered, "Right here." Brendan recounting saying, "We said it in such a perfect unison that it may have gotten misheard as production perfect reverb. The emptiness between us made it possible." According to Sullivan, tension came to a climax when the star of the video entered the room. Gaga stepped out into the bright light of the doorway. She completely froze when she saw us both together. Her sunglasses fell from her forehead and onto her snout, covering her eyes. Now, selecting Space Cowboy to be the face of the beats behind Gaga's DJ booth proved to be the correct choice, as the album's success brought numerous opportunities for both himself and Gaga. Artists were clawing to work with the genius behind hits such as Starstruck and Christmas Tree, as well as popular tracks off the deluxe album, The Fame Monster, such as So Happy I Could Die and Monster. He went on to produce multiple records with other chart-topping artists, incorporating his distinctive style and appearing in music videos alongside celebrities. At the peak of his success, he would be constantly working with dream collaborators, touring with LMFAO, and generating ample amounts of hype for his next solo project.
日本の皆さんこんにちは。私ロック始めました。スペースカウボーイニューアルバムデジタルロック発売中。
However, unbeknownst to his fans, Digital Rockstar would turn out to be his very last album under the name Space Cowboy. After producing Nadia Oh's 2011 record, Colors, and releasing it under the Tiger Tracks label, both artists mysteriously vanished from the public eye, leaving that very project as the final mark on both of their discographies. The reason for this disappearance is currently unknown, and despite fans' endless researching and investigating, the reason for their promising careers coming to a screeching halt has been kept under wraps by everyone involved, and will most likely forever remain a mystery. Though Nadia Oh seems to still keep a low profile on her social media, she does use her personal Twitter account from time to time. Space Cowboy, however, seems to have completely abandoned all social media without a trace, causing fans to question whether he is even still alive to this day. Space Cowboy is completely unreachable, and the mystery shrouding his disappearance has left listeners to ponder whatever happened to the beloved producer. It is possible that the dark side of fame was simply too much for him to handle. Perhaps the intrusive fans caused him to run from the spotlight. Or maybe he is still producing music to this day under a different alias. Whatever it may be, the impact Space Cowboy and Nadia Oh's work left on the music world is remarkable, and no artist since has quite been able to replicate the essence of powerful simplicity and electronic vibrance the two were able to capture with their sound. Nadia Oh's final mention of her music career would come in the form of a tweet to a fan, when in November of 2020, a Twitter user asked what had happened to her music career, to which she replied, "I can't say, but keep jamming, hun. I'll be jamming with you."
Lady Gaga, Monster, So Happy I Could Die, Starstruck, my own joints, falling down. I came to the party, produced by Red One. So, I try to be inclusive, man, and the people I work with was mad inclusive, and they're mad, creative, and they're cluey and stuff. So just embrace it, man. Don't be like, well, I have to do production myself. I love that. Writing's a separate thing. Performance is a separate thing. It's all part of the mix, man. Just get involved and do it. So that's how I did it, and I'm lucky. I'm in New York performing tonight, and it's a beautiful thing for me. It's a dream come true. So I know there are loads of cats out there how'd you do it? How'd you DJ with Lady Gaga? How'd you work with Mastercraft? It's just on the grind, man. Just writing songs, sending stuff out. You never know what happens. Send me demos. Send anybody demos. You know what I'm saying? Anyone that you look up to, anyone who thinks dope, send them demos because they're listening. That's all I can say, man. Peace.